Calling this hearing to order. For the record, my name is Kenzie Bach. I'm the District 8 City Councilor and also the Chair of the City Council's Committee on City Services and Innovation Technology. This public hearing is being recorded. It's being live streamed at boston.gov/city-council-tv and broadcast on Xfinity Channel 8, RCN Channel 82, and FiOS Channel 964. We'll be taking public testimony at the end of the hearing, so if you're here with us in the chamber, please sign up on the sheet near the chamber entrance. And if you're interested in testifying virtually, please email Ron Cobb, that's ron.cobb at boston.gov for the link. And for all testimony, we'll ask folks to just state name, neighborhood or affiliation, and try to keep comments to a couple of minutes. Today's hearing is on Docket 1144, Order for a Hearing to Address the Facility Conditions of the BCYF's Pools to Ensure City Services to All Residents, and Docket 1145, Order for a Hearing to Address the Current Lifeguard Shortage in the BCYF Pools. And the sponsor of both these dockets is to my left, Councilor Erin Murphy at large, and we're also joined here to my right by Councilor Ed Flynn, Council President and Councilor for District 2. We're delighted to be joined here today by a number of members of the administration. I'll just read off the names of the panel, and then I'll go to my colleagues for opening statements, and then we'll turn it over to you. So we're joined by Chief Jose Masso, our Chief of Human Services for the City of Boston, Commissioner Marta Rivera from the Boston Center for Youth and Families, Carrie Griffin, Executive Director of our Public Facilities Department, Eddie McGuire, Director of Operations, Brian Ford, Executive Director of Facilities Management, and Sam DePina, who somehow I don't have your title on my sheet. Sam, I'm sorry, but...
of Operations for Boston Public Schools.
Deputy Superintendent of Operations for Boston Public Schools. Thank you, and sorry about that. All right, so we're looking forward to hearing from the panel, but without further ado, I'll pass it over to the sponsor, Councilor Erin Murphy.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you all for being here. I had filed both these hearing orders after our long, hot summer and also after several meetings in Charlestown regarding the Clarity Pool, and realizing that I felt that as a council, we needed to be proactive and supportive to BCYF and the Boston Public Schools, and knowing that two of the reasons that many of our pools were closed this summer, one was because of service needed on our pools, it was maintenance. So one of the orders is directly tied to the conditions and facility conditions of our pools, and the other is the staffing shortages, and knowing that some of our pools we fixed but then had to keep closed because of staffing shortages. So after talking with the chair, knowing that we should combine both, because we know many of you are going to have to be at both hearings and answer it. So thank you for being here, and thank you for allowing us to combine the two. Another thing I do just want to make sure I say before we get into the conversation, as all of us know, violence is up or seems to be up in the city, and we need places like our BCYF centers, community centers, and pools open for our young kids to attend, but also for our young adults and our teenagers to be employed at. I mean, just yesterday, we all saw how 24 rounds were fired right outside the Perkins Community Center in broad daylight. The students had already been dismissed at the Lee School, and I know that all of the kids who had been in the community center were safe, even though it was right outside, but Troy, who works at the community center, was shot. So I do want to just take a moment to wish him well, and everyone who was involved, and any neighbors or anyone who's affected by that trauma from yesterday. I also want to reiterate conversations I've had with most of you here in the room, that these closures are a disservice to our neighborhoods. And we saw over the summer with, heat waves, our hottest August on record, that many of our neighborhoods, for many different reasons, they didn't have a pool open. And I want to make sure before we start that my goal for this hearing is to proactively address the current facility conditions of all of our indoor and outdoor pools, knowing that BCYF manages them, but then we have several of our pools that are connected to our community centers. So just to be clear to anyone zooming in or watching, the reason why Boston Public Schools is here because their facilities manages the pools that are connected to our community centers. And then we have several standalone pools. So the facilities update would come it would come from a different department. So thank you for being here. And also to be supportive, knowing that you are in talks with the union in how can we address the lifeguard shortages, and be supportive for that conversation. And it's great that we're having this hearing in December and not scrambling in April or May when we're hoping the pools get open. So thank you, Chair, and I look forward to the conversation, and I'll get right to the next person. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Councilor Murphy. President Flynn?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to you, Madam Chair, and to Councilor Murphy for your important work on these issues. I want to say thank you to the panelists that are here also for their important work on these critical issues as well. I do know several of the pools that have been closed are in my district, including the Blackstone School pool in the south end. And what I wanted to highlight is, this is an opportunity for us to work together and address shortages, but also come up with solutions of how we can work together during the budget process and address any financial issues that we might have that we're able to address during the budget process of getting our pools fixed appropriately. So it's on us as city councilors as well to play a more proactive role in advocating for BCYF pools, in not just calling them out, but working with them to ensure that there is adequate funding to deal with this issue. And one final point I wanted to highlight also is I worked with city councilor at the time, Kim Janey, then Mayor Janey. But one of my top priorities over the last 5 years has been trying to get BPS students into swimming lessons. That's a critical part of this discussion. I know the Boston YMCA, I was at the Chinatown YMCA over the weekend for an event. We were talking about the critical role the YMCA plays in partnership with the BPS in terms of getting young students exposed to swimming lessons, especially kids, students of color or immigrant students. I've been fortunate to have my children get swimming lessons at a private facility at the Boston Athletic Club. But other families or other young people aren't as fortunate. So my kids had swimming lessons that I paid for, but I want to make sure that it's important that every kid in BPS also has that same ability, regardless of their income. And I think BPS, I think BCYF, working closely with the YMCA, could be that vehicle. So I want to see us do more work with students, making sure that they have access to swimming lessons. Thank you, Madam Chair, and again, thank you to the panel that is here for their important work that they're doing across the city.
Great, thank you so much, President Flynn, and I'll just echo everyone's thanks to you guys for being here. Obviously, this is one of those hearings where the council's anxious to make sure that we have more of what you provide, and it really reflects the fact that BCYF is so central to the lives of our communities. And I'm also really grateful that we have both BCYF and BPS here, because we know that, there's a number of BCYF only managed facilities, and then there's a number that are kind of like in part of our BPS complexes. And I think, one of the things that we often wrestle with as city councilors is that on the back end in the city, things can be very complicated and very sort of bureaucratically complex and institutional. But on the front end, like, our constituents don't really want to hear all that. They just want to know whether the pool is going to be open. So I think that it's great for all of us to be coordinating and in the same room talking about this. And I know that, our pools are under different ownership structures across the city and different maintenance structures, but we're glad to have you all here. And like Councilor Murphy said, glad to be having this conversation, in December. not sort of in the middle of a season where what's closed is closed and what's open is open. And I should just say, you know, we've talked about this on a number of fronts. It's certainly also true of our schools writ large, but capital planning, as Carrie Griffin knows well, is really a cascade. And so the further out that you can plan, the better it is, both for, you know, achieving kind of operational efficiencies with getting stuff done, and also just like setting clear expectations for everybody, because we all know that you can't necessarily, like, you know, throw something in at the last minute if it hasn't been planned in advance. So really glad we're having this conversation. And with that, I will throw it over, perhaps I'll let you guys dictate the order, but perhaps first to Chief Masso.
Great. Good morning. Thank you so much, Chairwoman Bach and Councilors Murphy and Flynn. It's wonderful to be here with you today to discuss an important issue and one that is close to my heart. Councilor Murphy, I just want to acknowledge and thank you for your kind words and acknowledgement of our BCYF staff member in our community unfortunately impacted by gun violence. Thank you for that. My name is Jose F. Masso, and I am the Chief of Human Services. I'm joined today again by my colleagues, Marta Rivera, Commissioner of Boston Center's Youth and Families, Sam DePina, Deputy Superintendent of Operations at Boston Public Schools, Carrie Griffin, the Director of Public Facilities Department, and Brian Ford, Executive Director of Facilities Management at the Boston Public Schools. I'm here not only in my current role as Chief of Human Services, but also as a former swim instructor, swim team coach, and BCYF lifeguard. I was lucky to grow up swimming in BCYF swimming pools. 20 years ago, I actually had the privilege of being a lifeguard at the Blackstone Community Center pool. It was there I was able to establish their first swim team, the Blackstone Sharks, composed of young black and brown swimmers. Out of 24 swimmers on the team, there were about 18 of them that I either had to teach proper swim technique or how to swim from the beginning. The Swim League Championship that year was held at the old Murphy Pool, now named the Leahy Holleran, where in front of a packed crowd, our newly formed swim team that actually had no diving blocks at the Blackstone swim facilities was able to finish third overall in the city. A Cinderella story of sorts, yet one that was grounded in determination, perseverance, ambition, and belief. And I continue to believe, and I know my colleagues share this belief, that all children and adults in Boston deserve access to high-quality aquatics facilities and programming. Despite our commitment to this aspirational goal, I know that the current state of facilities falls well short of this goal. When I started in this role 6 months ago, one of the first meetings I had the first week I started, I convened with BCYF staff with about the state of the pools and what we could do to begin to put our pools on a path to being fully operational. What I learned in that meeting and sense is that it's going to take a team effort that includes not only BCYF staff and leadership, but also the team in public facilities and the Boston Public Schools. It would take the work of council as well, because this project is going to require both significant investments as well as patience. So today, I'm joined by some members of the team that we're working with to restore our pools. In addition to the folks that are here today, I'm also grateful for the leadership and partnership of Chief Dion Irish and for the mayor herself, who has already made pools an area of investment. In a moment, I will turn it over to the Commissioner to talk about the current status of our pools and the challenges that BCYF has faced historically in keeping the pools in good working order. Commissioner Rivera will be followed by Director Griffin, who will talk about the steps we're taking to address our current needs and to set up BCYF BPS pools for success in the future. As a team, we are meeting regularly and taking steps to resolve the current issues in a way that is transparent, equitable, and focused on setting our aquatics facilities on a path to long-term resilience and sustainability. And with that, I'll hand it over to Commissioner Rivera. Thank you.
Thank you and good morning, everyone. Thank you, Chief, for your remarks. I'll be brief in my remarks. Chief has already expressed our commitment and to aquatics programming, not just creating access, but quality swim lessons and the such. And so with that, I'll just say that, before I begin, so again, my name is Commissioner Marta Rivera from the Boston Center for Youth and Families, and I'm joined today by my colleague who is behind me, Eddie McGuire. He is the Director of Operations at BCYF. So as the largest provider of aquatics in Boston, BCYF recognizes how vital our facilities and our staff are to ensure that our children, adults, and seniors have access to pools and aquatics programming. And yes, we are the largest provider, whether it's a charitable, nonprofit, or a private entity. BCYF operates more facilities than any organization and organizations combined. We operate and provide staffing for 19 aquatic spaces. This includes 19 indoor year-round pools, 2 seasonal pools, and a beach in South Boston. In general, the city faces two major challenges with regards to keeping our pools open. That's facilities and staffing. There are efforts underway to make major improvements and investments to improve the condition of our pools and to proactively maintain and sustain the condition of the pools. Unfortunately, this hasn't been the case in the past. Not just our pool facilities, but other facilities have been plagued with issues due to deferred maintenance and a lack of proactive plans for maintenance and maintaining and repairing the facilities. On the capital side, there are various issues that contribute to the poor condition of the pools. Again, there's deferred maintenance. There's also the fact that our pool facilities were built many decades ago. Some of the oldest facilities are in our network are pools, like the Clarity Pool that was built in 1949. And as I mentioned, many of our facilities and our pools included have not been systemically renovated despite their age. Historically, there's also not been a master plan for renovating these old facilities, nor a regular schedule for addressing the need for major capital investments. And if you all might recall, there was an investment in this fiscal year, 23, to have a network-wide assessment of our facilities, which we're working with our colleagues in Public Facilities Department currently to better assess the condition and make strategic investments moving forward. On the maintenance side, we have inadequate staffing is our primary issue. BCYF has 2 staff that maintain our aquatics facilities, and that includes the facilities that are within BPS. In a minute, we'll hear from our colleagues in BPS around some of those challenges. And with that, I'll turn it to Kerry and just want to again reiterate our commitment to ensuring that we have all of our pool facilities operational and fully staffed. Thank you.
Thanks, Mata. Good morning, councilors. So as Mata and Chief Masso had said, we are currently working with BCYF on doing a full facilities assessment of their buildings and their standalone pools and community centers in partnership with BPS, who is actually doing their own facilities assessment that Brian can speak to. So yes, and we're working with BCYF on a number of projects in the capital plan, the Marshall Pool, the Rosendale Community Center, the Clarity Pool. So thanks. Brian, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about the BPS facility assessment plan.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Brian Ford. I'm the Executive Director of the Facilities Department for Boston Public Schools. We also have realized a lot of the challenges that have come from the existing condition of the schools. As our colleagues have said, many of them being built a very long time ago with lack of repairs and repair. Our team makes an effort to repair the mechanical equipment that's there, but maintaining an old infrastructure has been increasingly challenged. With our FCA, which I'm sure you've at this point heard a lot about, it's an assessment of all of our buildings, the current status of those buildings, as well as the condition of the pools. With this coming out, we're going to be able to have a full analysis of what type of work is required to repair our pools, where our pools should be at this state, and then how we can best strategically invest in them throughout the district. And as Marta said, we don't have dedicated pool staff, and so BCYF has been a huge partner into helping us maintain the chemicals as well as the lifeguards in the pools and staffing.
Sam, did you want to say anything before we go to questions?
No, I'm all set. Let's dive into the questions since my
Okay,
colleagues
great.
have expressed everything.
Great. Again, I'll defer first to the sponsor, Councilor Murphy.
Thank you for all of that. And I do know after speaking with different people in City Hall after the hearings at the Clarity Pool, it was clear to me that if the Clarity Pool was in such bad shape, we probably should look at all of our pools. And obviously found out quickly that you guys already were doing that. So it's one of the things I learned when I filed the hearing, that you're not just starting these assessments because I filed this order, it's been ongoing, and so I just want to make that clear that I was well aware of that. So we're hoping that this hearing will just continue to keep moving that forward, and then when it comes budget time, like Councilor Flynn had said, let's make sure that we have those assessments and we can advocate for the work that then will need to be done, because the study will be done, but then we have to make sure that we have a plan. One thing that Carrie told me, and it did make me laugh, but I remember it, it's so true. She was like, we are planners. We don't like to always be reacting. So however we can on the council help make sure that we're not just trying to patch things and react, that you can be ahead of the game is what I want to make sure this comes out of this conversation. So knowing that we're touched on both the facilities, so some of the questions I have on the facilities is, what does that timeline look like? And once we get that timeline, how can we be supportive in those conversations? Because I would assume that we're going to find out that there's a lot of work needed and not every pool is going to be on the list. And then how do we tie in the staffing shortages? And I know we've talked a lot about that. So I would like, Marta, if you could touch on, or Chief Masso, how those talks are going. I know that you worked hard over the summer and like lifted some of the restrictions around residency and full-time and others, and tried to make it more, you know, a job that people wanted to actually apply to. So if you could speak to us on how that's going and how you think will be when it comes time to start hiring more lifeguards.
Great, thank you, Counselor. So I didn't make remarks on the lifeguard, but happy to roll right into that. So we currently have 29 vacant lifeguard positions, and so we've made a little bit of progress with 22 filled. And that's, we have full-time positions at BCY, full-time year-round positions, which is, of course, because of our facilities, it's also unique. Many of our colleagues that operate pools across the city have, particularly our nonprofit partners and entities, have part-time positions. And so we have both the full-time during the year, and in the summer we hire, last summer I believe it was 63 positions we had part-time. We have 4 full-time pool managers, those positions are filled, and 4 assistant pool managers, that's also filled. So we have management positions filled, but still, and they're also lifeguards, by the way. So it helps us in our operations to meet the requirements to open pools. But we are still, like many municipalities and entities across the country, struggling to fill these positions. And since the summer, we did lift the residency requirement for those part-time positions. It is not our desire to make that change for the full-time positions. And moving forward, we are in talks through the labor department, through the unions. We are trying to be competitive with our salaries and working on other incentives to fill those positions, and hope to have something to share more concretely soon.
Have we implemented any programs with our high schools to get our students trained during the school year? I know the GROW program with the Boston Police, she's having swimming lessons that she hopes will lead to lifeguard training at the Dorchester House now. So wondering if we've partnered with any of our high school students.
So we have a junior lifeguard position that we've had for several years, and we hope to build that out. It's not, generated a pipeline, a solid pipeline the way we would like, partly because we need to, and we are committed to strengthening our swimmers program, so how we train and how we certify people to swim and youth to swim. But we do have a junior lifeguard program that we're looking to grow. The other thing that's been helpful is we worked with HR on promotions and advertising and making sure it's, on large billboards. Yeah, that's all.
And before I pass it off to Councilor Flynn, when do we think these assessments will be done, and what are we already seeing concerns that we didn't think we'd be seeing at certain pools?
Good morning. So I would say in regards to our assessments, we have not received all of them back yet. We're still in the formatting. We're expecting a lot of them to come back in the March, in the fall, in the spring that's coming up. We do have an estimated amount on the repairs, so we do have a rough estimate of what it'll take, but we're looking for a deeper dive into that, so we'll have to get back to you.
How many pools right now are not open in our Boston Public Schools?
I'm looking at, I think there are, looks like 6 in our network.
6
Yeah,
out of the
the-
13.
Blackstone, Condon, Hennigan, Holland, Mattahunt, Marshall, Perkins, 7.
So that means, do we still have a lifeguard on staff? Because I know. at the
So 2
school-
of those that are closed are due to staffing shortage.
Staffing. So closed in the afternoon, but are they also closed during the day for the students to take swim classes, do we know?
I would have to get back to you on the
Okay.
exact details of that.
Yeah, if the pool's closed, we wouldn't be doing swimming classes.
If they're closed, because okay, so they're not open during the day?
No.
But it's different staff, right? Because the swim teacher during the school day is a BTU teacher.
That's right.
Yes.
You're familiar.
Yeah, no, definitely, but I just want to make sure people are clear. So, like, say if one of those pools, like you mentioned, is closed only because of staffing, not because the pool doesn't work, it means we also aren't hiring a swim teacher to be at the pool during the school day?
If the school has a swimming program, they're required to have a swim teacher on staff to conduct those classes. So that would be in addition to
Right,
the
addition.
BCYF program.
So I guess I just want to be clear, so of the 7 pools that are closed right now, connected to our Boston Public Schools, are they only closed on the afternoon, evening, and weekends, or are they also closed during the school day?
If they're closed throughout the day, because if the pool's closed for a maintenance issue or it needs renovations or it's unsafe.
Right, but you said some of them, Marta, are only closed because of staffing?
Yeah, the Mattahunt and the Marshall.
Yeah. So if we,
Or rather, pardon.
yeah.
Sorry, thank you, Eddie.
Yeah, just for the folks who watch the live stream, Eddie, if you could speak into the mic.
Yeah, I'm aware that during the afternoon, so the ones that have staffing the school have used it, like the Condon and a few other locations have the ability to use it during the school day. Okay. The problem comes when after in the transition of hours for our staff for full-time lifeguards.
Right, then you
at
should.
certain locations. I'm not sure if the Marshall and them have a program operating, but I do know, for example, the Condon does. Thank you.
And our staff requires lifeguard to be present in order to do those classes as well.
Of course, yeah, great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Great.
Thank you, Chair.
And if folks can if you can just wait for the red light to come on, just for our folks who are watching at home. They can only have 5 on at once, so if you're curious why they blink on and off, that's what's going on. But just before I go to Councilor Flynn, just to follow up on this, sorry, I'm just trying to follow because it sounded like the 2 that we had closed because of staffing were the Mattahunt and the Marshall. But then what I just heard was that maybe the Condon also is operational except for a staffing issue. So then is it actually 3 that are closed for, just if we can make a clear distinction between how many of the BPS sites the pools are closed for maintenance reasons versus staffing reasons?
Yeah, so I apologize, it was the Mattahunt was closed for maintenance, not staff.
Oh, okay, got it. So the Condon and the Marshall are the 2 where if, in theory, if we had staffing, we would be able to reopen.
And the Hennigan
And the Hennigan, okay.
just got finished with repairs, so it's pretty recently open.
So the Hennigan's been reopened, or the Hennigan would reopen if it were staffed?
It would reopen if it were staffed.
Okay,
So they just finished repairs. Some of the pools, such as the Marshall and the Hennigan, were closed during the summer due to repairs that needed to take place. Those repairs were completed in the fall, and we've just been able to get the pools filled. So they're filled. The problem at this point with those locations are specific to staffing that we're working toward getting fixed.
and sorry, that was the Hennigan and which one?
Hennigan, Marshall, and Condon.
Hennigan, Marshall, and Condon. So
But the
all-
Hennigan and Marshall were both under repair during the summer.
Got it, yes, so they were
So
under
they were,
repair.
it's a variety.
Under repair this summer,
So we would have had the staff to open those 2 locations in the summer. Unfortunately, with the transition from summer lifeguards, where we see a large exodus of seasonal workers, it led to us trying to get more. So another campaign was done to try to get more lifeguards, which was the second push, which you've seen on billboards and things that the chief and the commissioner highlighted, and now we're still working toward getting the staff. We operate with a minimum of 2 staff, but ideally we'd like to have 3 individuals there, and in negotiations with the unions at this point for part-time staff, we are focusing specifically for school sites, because we believe that position fits best for those. So we're working toward that. But right now the pools are, luckily, I mean, the downside of not having those facilities operational during the summer we were able to fix a variety of different issues, but at this point now we're working to try to get the staff necessary to keep them operational. But we are looking to get more than 1 or 2 individuals at each location to provide a programmatic approach. So it's like 3 people we're looking for each pool instead of just 1 or 2 hires.
Okay, all right. I will have more questions, but I want to go to Councillor Flynn. Councillor Flynn, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I know we mentioned the Condon, the Blackstone. As it relates to the schools that have a pool, and the pools are in good shape, we're just looking for a lifeguard. Are we doing any outreach in terms of lifeguard positions with any of the colleges and universities? Maybe some of the students in the athletic programs might be certified as lifeguards, and maybe it might be a great part-time job for someone to work several hours a week as a lifeguard in one of the city's pools, and obviously giving back. They're giving back as well, and we certainly have a pilot program here in the city, but just kind of thinking out loud if we're doing any outreach to the colleges or universities.
Thank you for the question, Councillor. So we have, and that strategy has worked for us to some degree during the summer when we have part-time positions, the seasonal part-time, during the remainder of the year. So after the summer, as Eddie mentioned, my colleague Eddie McGuire, they take off and they're back to school, and we no longer have part-time positions, and they're not able to work the full-time schedules.
And if I just add, we also work in collaboration to advertise those opportunities to our student athletes that are swimmers.
Yeah, student athletes are another opportunity. Okay, thank you. What is the status of the pool at Madison Park?
So we no longer have a center at Madison. BCYF is not at Madison.
Could you say that again, please?
BCYF, we don't operate the pool at Madison any longer.
The pool at Madison is operational. Currently, right now, the locker rooms are going through a renovation, but the pool itself is functional. Recently had starting blocks put in so that we can have swim teams and meets there.
Okay, so Madison Park is in good shape?
Yes.
Okay, that's good to hear. I remember going on a tour with one of my colleagues in the city council, and one of my colleagues brought up the issue of, making sure we have the appropriate changing facilities in our pools, certainly for men and women and boys and girls, but also respecting any religious issues as well as it relates to changing facilities. Are we focused on that issue? And is that a concern too?
Our assessment will include entire building spaces, which would include locker rooms, so our assessment will unearth any issues if there are.
Okay. Where is BPS in terms of the outreach with the YMCA and providing swim lessons for students, especially students of color? That's a major concern for me.
Yeah, we're in ongoing conversations with those partners beyond YMCA. I could just cite one example off the top of my head is the Umana pool. We have a partnership with YMCA there, and they help us and facilitate programming there. And there are some across the district. I couldn't recite all of them to you at this moment, but I can get that list for you.
Are the students actively getting swimming lessons as we speak?
Yes, it's some capacity or another in different schools that have the ability to do that with the partners or with their own instructors where their lifeguards present.
Are there students that are not getting swimming lessons or have access to swimming lessons?
Sure, I would say that that's an issue that we're trying to resolve based on some of this information that was shared today.
Again, that's an important issue for me. I want to make sure that my constituents, but certainly every resident of the city of Boston, has access to swimming lessons, especially students of color or immigrant students as well. Students living near public housing developments also. Are we taking those factors into consideration?
Yes.
In what way?
In the sense that we make sure that throughout the year we're really understanding what our kids bring to the table in the schools and their interests. We make sure our staff is really engaging with them and their families about their interests, both in the school, academically, but also social emotionally, what their interests are as hobbies, if they want to participate in swimming and athletics. So just getting to know the kids is the first step. I think once we know that, we try to steer them to the right schools and partnerships, both that we have under our control in BPS, but also with our other partners that partner with schools and or city colleges.
Many of my constituents live near public housing developments also, and traditionally or historically haven't had access to swimming lessons or access to the ocean, even though they live a mile away. What is our short-term plan and long-term plan to expose children, students to the ocean, to swimming lessons, and is that a major priority for BPS?
So from the BPS standpoint, when we go through our short term, right now, as we get back the FCA, we'll have two things that will happen out of that. We will use our racial equity and planning tool to overlay the construction that will happen in the school, in the pools, so that we know that we are targeting the right communities in the right order. Another thing that will happen is once we have a dollar amount that we can associate with the average maintenance on a given pool, we can make sure to adjust our budget accordingly to make sure that the pools that we do have can maintain in an operating standard and fashion. As for the programs themselves, I definitely need to get more information on that to see how they're offered throughout each school.
Okay. My final question or comment is, when we go into budget debate, budget discussion with the appropriate departments, BCYF, BPS, I'm going to ask BPS how many students have received swimming lessons to date and how many students have not received swimming lessons to date. I don't need an answer right now, but I do want to have that information during the budget debate, and I also want a plan that someone can highlight to me of how we're going to make sure that students that haven't had access to swimming lessons are going to get those swimming lessons. That is a priority for me, and I'm not going to give up on this issue until I'm satisfied that every student in the city has adequate swimming lessons. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Flynn. I want to acknowledge my colleague, Councillor Gabriela Coletta, who has joined us from District 1. I'm going to ask my questions and then I'll go to her. So Sorry, I'm just trying to get a clear sense of where we currently are, recognizing that there's a lot about the details of where we're going that depends on these capital assessments. So just the 13 BPS schools, are those included within or separate from the 19 BCYF?
Sorry, what was the question again?
So the 13 BPS schools are with pools that we were just referencing, 7 of which are currently closed, 3 of them because of staffing. Are those inside of or additional to the 19 full year-round?
They're within that.
They're within
Yeah,
that,
so the
okay,
19
that's what I thought. So then, if I'm just understanding the whole set, we've got 13, and all the BPS ones are indoors, correct? None of them are right?
Yeah.
So we have 13 year-round indoor BPS affiliated, but BCYF maintained pools.
Correct.
And then we have another 6 that are BCYF standalone. Right?
Correct.
Right? And then we have 2 that are outdoor.
Yes.
And we're gonna leave the beach to the side, because, I mean,
Yep.
That's something.
yes, beaches do require maintenance of a kind, but at least they have fewer mechanical systems. Okay, so of these 13 that are indoor that are BPS, we've got 3 that are closed pending staffing, 4 that are closed pending capital work, and then 6 that are open?
There's 7 open.
7 that are open. If there are 7 that are open, how does that add up? Because I thought we listed 7 that were closed, with the Condon, the Hennigan, and the Marshall all just pending staff.
Look at my list. So the 9 that are closed, I'll go through my list and look into Eddie, right, these are as of today. And it's whether it's either staffing or, again, need for repairs. One is because it's currently, one's currently capital. So the Blackstone,
Okay, so the Blackstone is shut, and it's because of capital.
Yes.
the Blackstone is need for repairs, yeah.
Okay.
The Condon,
And that's just staffing.
staffing.
Okay.
Draper is under capital,
Draper is capital.
undergoing capital improvements. The Hennigan is staffing,
Okay.
and it just, as Eddie explained earlier, was just being put back online, was being repaired. The Holland.
I can't.
It's capital.
The
that was-
Holland.
The Holland, yeah. So it's not undergoing capital, so.
That's
in need of
capital.
repair.
Yeah.
The Holland's a capital one, correct?
Yep.
Yep.
Paris Street. Metahunt.
Paris
So
also
Paris Street is-
capital?
Yeah, capital project.
Matahunt
Metahunt,
is
that's
cap.
another capital project.
Okay.
Marshall, staffing, and the Perkins, staffing.
The Perkins is just staffing?
Is that correct?
Or is it?
The Perkins had a drainage issue where the water wasn't holding throughout the summer. That was repaired not too long ago, so it's in the same situation with staff.
So it's in the same situation as the
Yes.
Marshall, the Hennigan, and the Condon?
Yes,
Okay.
at this time. But it was for a while off and on, not holding water, and so they were able to repair that. BPS came in, did some line work along the edge of the drain, but it was empty for a good period of time, so that is actually just back online.
Okay, and then the 2 outdoor pools,
The Mirabella and the Clarity.
right, and so of those, the Mirabella is currently, like, neither of them are open in the winter.
Exactly, they only open 11 weeks out of the year throughout the summer months. The Clarity was closed this year due to dire need of renovations.
Right, and have,
The Mirabella is functional, was operational.
okay, so just leaving so just to make sure that I understand, if, in principle, if we had the 12 full-time people that we needed, would we be able to reopen the Perkins, the Marshall, the Condon, and the Hennigan?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, overall, when it would come down to staffing, to be honest, is that some of these pools are operating at minimum staff right now. And so the ones that are operational, we would like to try to get more support at those locations because, operating 1 or 2 lifeguards with respect to the safety ratios sometimes lead to us having to shut down pools just based on staffing. So it's not just that those locations are closed because of staffing, but the other locations are also struggling with for staff. So we would definitely prioritize to get as many pools open, but we'd also want to make sure that the pools that are programmatic at this point would also get the necessary support to either make them more robust, but also just to provide necessary stability.
Got it. And is there, so when I look at the 5 that are shut for capital reasons right now, 3 of them are BPS, and am I right in remembering, Dr. Ford, that Director Ford, that the BPS facilities assessment, that's due to be done about a year from now, right? Because it was an 18-month thing, or?
We should have the assessment finished in the spring, so for
great.
March, and then a little bit of time for us to digest it, incorporate some metrics from it.
Okay, so you should have a pretty clear sense by the early summer of everything. Okay, and then, but on any of those 3 BPS ones right now, the Holland, the Blackstone, and the Mattahunt, are there any already planned, like, capital projects, repair projects, et cetera, for those, or is it all pending the facilities assessment?
So name them again. So yes, the Mattahunt is currently undergoing renovations.
Okay.
The entire facility is closed.
And do we have a timeline for when that finishes? That renovation?
Yesterday.
Might be a Carrie question. Sorry, and sorry for all that. I'm just trying to understand the sort of sorted into buckets, right? There's things that we've got open. There's things that we would have open if it weren't for staff. There's things that are closed, but there's a current project going on, and when it finishes, they'll be in that we just need staff bucket. There are things that you guys probably already know what the project is, but it's pending FY24 capital budget approval. And then there's things that you don't yet know what the project is, and you're waiting on assessments. And I'm just trying to understand where all of the pools are on that spectrum. And it might be, I might follow up with you guys to just check our work after and make sure the council understands. Because again, I think you mentioned, right, you need the council's patience. You also need our collaboration in the funding side. And I want us to, a thing I would love to have come out of Councilor Murphy's hearing is just like kind of a clear sense of where everything is on that spectrum so that nobody feels surprised about where we are with these different ones.
That's a great suggestion. I think that's something that we could definitely work towards providing for sure. I like the way that you actually put them in categories. I think that would be helpful for us too. So thank you for that. Yeah.
Carrie on the Mattahunt.
Yes, that is scheduled to complete in March of 2023.
This March.
But there are also 2 other capital projects in the pipeline for the Mattahunt to do with code and life safety, and I'm not sure if it's the school or the community center, so I can clarify that.
Okay, so we could get some clarity back on that. Okay, so, because it would also, it would be great to understand, is that one, is that one moving in time for the summer into the, we just need to staff it category, or is it still gonna be working on stuff? And then the Blackstone and the Holland, do we have active projects on either?
The Holland's not one of our projects.
Okay.
So the Holland's not a capital project. It needs repairs. There's issues with the filtration system, and then one of the wall anchors fell out, so it puts up the line. So that is something that we've assessed and looking to work with BPS to have repaired. We've been in conversation with them about that.
Okay, but just so I understand it, for something like that where we already know what the problems are and it's sort of in the repair context, it's not like a capital project.
Yeah.
What's the process for getting that done?
So our staff, the facility staff who work on it regularly, will go in and make a general assessment, usually with BPS, to understand what the scale of, because the anchor was the first problem we noticed, then the filtration system. So instead of piecemealing it together, an overall assessment is being done of the facility along with our staff to make sure that we've acknowledged and identified issues. But it could be possible and I don't want to speak for BPS, but that it would be something later down the line that would need a capital improvement based on the amount of work.
So what I'm trying to understand is with the Holland.
Yes.
Will we know what work we are commissioning on the Holland before the full facilities assessment comes back? Or are we, it sounds like maybe we're waiting on that complete assessment before we commission any repair work on the Holland. Is that true?
No. So what's happened from BCYF is they've given us the full scope of work from their employees' understanding of what's happening with it. And currently our team is still working to understand a deeper scope of work and put a dollar amount on it so that we can actually send it out to be contracted. Depending on that dollar amount would depend on the plan that we take for action.
But that's a different process from
A more immediate.
thing from the whole FCA. So if that all happened in the next 2 months, let's say, you guys would commission that work in like late February, or this is just a hypothetical timeline, but the point is it's not waiting on this overall facilities assessment at the Holland.
That's correct.
Okay, and what about the Blackstone?
Same.
Same situation where we've diagnosed specific issues, or is it in the waiting for this overall facilities assessment?
So for the Blackstone, we've assessed that it actually needs a significant amount of repairs. Right now estimated to be over $5 million, but we definitely need a deeper dive. The building overall has been submitted for an MSBA project, so we're waiting to hear back from that to see if it will cover the work for the pool as well.
And that's that's a overall MSBA, that's not an accelerated repair project, right? That's like an overall big
Core.
Okay, core project, yeah. Didn't we, was the issue with, because we had that whole issue about the exclusions of the immersive pool with the Carter, was that related to the fact that it was like a special ed pool, or did we already run this game on the Carter? Do you remember, Carrie?
Yes, no, we did get, for reimbursement, we did get the square footage of the pool included for the Carter, which is not typical for the MSBA, but we did get that because it's so entrenched in the programming of the building for the children.
But that might suggest that we might have a harder time getting it included for this one because...
I don't think we would get it included
Okay.
for this one. I mean, I'm not sure, but typically, no, they would not.
Yeah, and I'm just pushing on that because the last thing I would want us to do is stop, not work on figuring out how to solve the Blackstone for, a year while we find out whether the MSBA is doing it for us, and then it's like, well, even if they are doing the core thing, they're not paying for our pool repair anyways,
Regardless, there's a portion of the overall cost that we would have to absorb anyway, so we would absorb what we could control, and that would probably be one of the areas that we would have to cover, and MSBA would not reimburse us for that.
I see, but do you think is part then of the reason you might wait, Sam, that you would still achieve cost efficiencies by doing it at the same time as the overall core project?
I would describe it more as what we do with the building in general overall, right? So once
Will be shaped by whether the MSBA is on board.
Right, so if we do a whole building renovation or reconstruction, that would all be part of one full swoop that we do with all the construction, but if we need to do a piecemeal or we need to get the pool up and running, we would do it. I think the high-level summary is where we can do immediate repairs to pools to get them up and running offline quicker, we will do that. And where we can't, we would delay it for one of these larger projects.
Great, okay, and then my last two questions are just Draper and Paris, which I think are not BPS. Where are we on each of those?
So the Draper's undergoing Draper's undergoing capital project, and we're anticipating wrapping that up by the spring. And which was the other one?
And that's one where you think, Marta, that it's really wrapped by the spring? It's
Yes.
not, okay.
Yeah, there was a delay in getting it started and securing the vendor. We had to put out the bid twice, but we do expect that that's going to move along and be open by the spring.
Great, and then what about the Paris?
The Paris Street, I'm going to ask Colleen for now.
So, Paris Street. We ran into some issues with the pool. It was never called to replace the whole liner when we were doing construction. I'm not sure why. That was before my time as the director, but a decision was made, and when we went to look at the pool was beyond repair with the amount of deterioration and holes in the liner. So we made a decision, and we've had some difficulties with securing a vendor that can do the work. We also had some areas with some lead time issues with the material. So we finally have someone that can actually do it and the material secured, and we will start that probably within a month after shop drawings and approvals go through for the work. This would be a change order to the project.
Okay, and then, so the project is ongoing, but now we've got to get this very substantial change order in. What's the likely lead time on shop drawings, et cetera?
Probably within a month.
Okay, so in a couple of months, we think we'll have folks working on the liner?
Yes, that's the goal. And we would, right now, the schedule is showing June 20th for opening.
Okay, got it. And then, are there any of the pools that are open? So I'll bracket the clarity for a minute. I know we had a whole hearing about that, and I also know I'm going to go to Councilor Coletta in a moment, so I'll let that. But are there any of the pools that are open, plus the Marabella, which obviously isn't open because of its seasonality, that we are expecting, like, to have to close for capital reasons? Bracketing staff, we don't know where we're all going to be with staff. We hope we can help you guys strengthen the staffing. But on the capital side, are there ones that are open but that we kind of already know are going to have to close?
We're aware of pools that have multiple issues at hand that we have tried to repair. With respect to some of the standalones, the Mason pool has liner issues.
Sorry, which one?
The Mason pool has liner issues, a variety of these standalone pools. I mean, Curtis Hall is fine, but the Mason pool definitely has some work that needs to be done. Overall, it's one of the highest utilized pools. It's definitely something that we've highlighted, and then also conversations about the Marabella as well.
Yeah, so I think it would be great, this probably creates another bucket, which is anticipated project need, because I think one of the things we have to do, right, is balance the need for these projects with the need to keep pools open in every region of the city. And so I think just us understanding, like, and again, giving people the heads up of, like, at some point we're going to have to close this pool because we got to repair the liner, but maybe, like, we're going to wait for this one that we're going to have open on June 20th to be done before we're talking about taking another one offline. I just think, again, I think that, there's no question that our residents of the city of Boston are always going to be upset if the pool that they would love to be using is not available. But I think people will be less upset if they see that we have a plan and that we kind of understand the overall situation and that we can explain it to them than if we just spring it on them at the moment of closing each of the pools. So anyways, those are my questions. I will try to put together what I've understood from today, and then maybe would love to get that from you, Chief, and kind of check our work and make sure we're all on the same page.
For sure, just to double check, and so I appreciate you elevating that. So it sounds like there's 6 categories, and correct me if I'm wrong. So it's open, fully functional, open with anticipated repairs in the future, capital projects, unknown capital projects, and then we have repair, meaning like immediate repairs, and then the 6th one is closed due to staffing.
Right.
So those are 6 categories that I was able to capture. I think that's a really great point. In the facilities assessment, I think that's the overall approach of being able to do a deeper dive to our standalones and really, assessing the needs. And as, Carrie had mentioned, any renovation projects, you dig a little bit deeper and you find out that there's larger issues. And so we want to make sure, to your point, and that was one of our lessons learned this past year, how to communicate in advance and not to spring it and saying, this is going to be offline for any particular season or amount of time. So were there any more categories, or were those
No,
6?
I think that sounds right.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and I'll go now to Councilor Coletta.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Hi, everybody. Hi again, after many conversations. Hi, Eddie.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. I hope fatherhood is treating you well.
That's great.
Awesome. Thank you, Councilor Murphy, for bringing this to the council. So we've talked a lot about pools in my district, and apologies, I'm a little sick. So I'm going to stay far away and keep my time speaking to a minimum. And apologies if my questions are redundant because I was late, and apologies for being late as well. I'm going to take my time just wrapping up a few loose ends, only because we've had multiple conversations around pools in my district. I feel like we achieved the hat trick in my district where the Clarity Pool in Charlestown was closed without really any notice. And I know that that's something that we inherited here, all of us, because of decades of mismanagement and bad decisions. The Paris Street Pool is going through a renovation right now and is going to be absolutely beautiful by the time it's done, but we are still, I think, 9 months behind of where we really should be due to RFP issues and things that should have happened that didn't. And then the Mirabella Pool was at risk of closing down during its biggest weekend. It's a beloved pool in the North End because of staffing issues, and we didn't have enough lifeguards. And so that was something, Commissioner, that we avoided. So thank you so much. I remember being on the phone with you and saying, if I have to lifeguard this weekend, I will. You also said the same thing. I know we can't do that, just put that on the record, but that was avoided. So I do appreciate that. And Carrie, you've been working really, really hard to get my district back on track. And Chief, you've always been a valued partner in this work, and Eddie as well, too. I want to give you a shout out. And Sam, right? Sam, thank you for the Imana Pool. That was also something that was ringing the alarm bells in my district because East Boston High School has been waiting for the Paris Street Pool for months. And we have a strong advocate in Dave Aranella, who's the East Boston High School swim coach, who's been calling me for months trying to figure out what's going on. And when they didn't have the Imana Pool, they didn't have a space. And so that was something that we avoided. So thank you. Just when it comes to the, just looking at my notes, so the junior lifeguard program, that was something that my chief of staff, who was here, had told me that you had mentioned, Martha. I'm really excited about that. And I'm wondering, just because it always has been difficult for us to attract and retain folks because of the funding levels. I mentioned that you can get more money and earn more by scooping ice cream at JP Licks than lifeguarding. And there's something fundamentally wrong about that. So I wanted to know how we are funding that and how much money we anticipate paying folks, and just teeing up budget cycle for next year, what that might look like. And then how much money, just what that'll look like ahead of next year, and how much money we will be paying these folks.
I don't have I don't have the salary for that, and I'm not even sure that it is a salary. Do we know if it's a paid position?
Would it be unpaid?
For the junior lifeguards?
For the junior lifeguards.
I believe it is, it's like an intern position in order for you. So a lot of they come in and they intern under these lifeguards, get the skill set, and then train, typically under BCYF, to get get the training necessary to become a full-time lifeguard. So they assist in observations of the pool and things, not necessarily rescuing because they're not of age. So we lowered well, not lowered it, but typically we aim to have lifeguards at like 16 to 18, and 16 is really the bare minimum. A lot of these interns are below that age.
Okay.
And so they don't have, but it's a pipeline that we've used. We've, unfortunately, like everything else though, I mean, with the commitments, we have seen a little decrease in participation unlike in years before. So overall, staffing situation they're kind of in the same boat.
Okay, and would they go through the same sort of safety training ahead of when they would be physically at the pool watching folks, or? Yeah,
they would have to go through just basic training with respect to what a lifeguard does. But they wouldn't necessarily, I mean, they could assist in a swim, but they wouldn't be leading the rescue if there was something that needed to occur.
Okay, and then the hours spent at the pool would go towards their lifeguard certification?
They've always been given preference, especially if they have experience, is what I've been told. And Jeff Mackey and Tony Rosario have done a fantastic, especially Tony, I know, been focusing on this for a long time.
Do we intend to, just going back to the, I guess, trained lifeguards or real lifeguards, do we anticipate giving them a raise and trying to retain those folks and attract new folks from maybe like the Suffolk swim team, BU swim team? I'm just trying to get creative here and trying to figure out how we can avoid this next year.
Yeah, so this past summer, we did increase the seasonal lifeguard position pay, and we also went to the Residency Commission to waive the Boston residency. We are in the process of increasing the salaries of our year-round lifeguards to be beyond competitive with some of our, for instance, colleagues at the state. So really want to make sure that we're not just, that we're really securing our lifeguards for years to come, and they're putting them at a higher pay so they're not enticed by other opportunities.
Okay, thank you. So I would love to get to specifics. First, the Clarity Pool. We did have a full hearing on this, so thank you all so much. There were commitments of $25 to $30 million for that pool, and a commitment to get it up and running by opening 2024. Would you all be able to give an update on the general timeline of where you think we'll be? It doesn't have to be month by month, but maybe going into next year, what that looks like from January to June, and then June to December of next year. Looking at Carrie, would you be able to provide that for us?
Thank you, Council, for the question. So right now, the way we're looking at the schedule is 3 phases. The first phase would be demolition. The second phase would be a partial opening in the summer of 2024 with the pool and the filtration system up and running, and then do some temp facilities. And then the third phase would be a final turnover with the pool house. With fully compliant, accessible, code-compliant building. So there's 3, and right now, what we'd like to do is, we'd like to meet with the Friends of the Clarity Pool first, and then beginning of the year, January, February, March, really start aggressively meeting with the community in terms of, because this, if we want to maintain our schedule, we don't need community feedback for demolition. So both designs will be working concurrently, and we would like to, because the dollar value, we're going to put out the demolition of the pool and the interior, and the filtration and all underground piping. And then in June, put out, that would be April for demolition. Start demoing in the summer, at the same time, we'll put out the bid set for the new pool. We figure that's 6 to 8 months worth of work with the filtration system. And that would be up and running for the summer of 2024. At the end of the season, we'd shut it down, finish the pool, and then, the schedule right now is reflecting February of 2025 being completely done, but they'll have their whole building, everything back for the following season.
Okay. So the pool house is what we're really looking at in 2025 as being, okay. And
Yes.
would that renovation get in the way of any sort of operations for the pool, or to have folks fully enjoy the pool in 2024?
No,
The construction won't get in the way?
We would, the way we put this out to bid would be that, in that manner, so that with the expectation that we're not going to have the building 100% complete. I mean, if we can, accelerate the schedule, of course, we want to turn everything over. But the way that the current industry is and what we're seeing on lead times, we're not going to be able to do the pool house and the pool. So we're planning for just the pool and filtration and some temp showers, so that we can give the community back their pool for the summer while we're also doing the pool house. That will never stop, that will continue.
Thank you. I know that there was a commitment to not have the community center go there too. Thank you, Chief, for that. I think that the one thing that is missing, or something that was not really made clear to folks, and shout out to Friends of the Clarity Pool, I think some of them are listening in, and I just want to thank them for their advocacy. But the lease is a huge thing, where it's up in 2024, I believe, and so they're concerned, and they've heard, yes, we will sign it, yes, we will sign it. I think they want to have something tangible in their hands of, we will have this land. This land will be ours. We'll re-sign the lease or something, so that we could have it in perpetuity. Has there been any movement on that, or any additional conversations that we could put here on the record?
Thank you. So the White Fund Board meets next week, and we are making an ask to have a commitment or something that we can produce in writing.
Even before it's up in 2024?
Pardon?
Before it's up in 2024?
Exactly, before, just to have that assurance and build the trust of the community.
Thank you.
Great.
Sorry.
No, I
There's
thought
so
you were saying
many-
thank you to me. Go.
There's so many pools in my district. Parish Street Pool, you were able to give a general update. Thank you for that. You said that there was something wrong in the, or there wasn't something made explicitly clear about the lining. Was that in the RFP that was missing? Or how is the RFP framed and who put that together? And also, what's the process moving forward now to make sure that we're contracting effectively and we're not wasting all this time on the back end?
So the original, and I can only surmise that it was due to budget, that the scope in terms of doing a complete new liner for the pool. So there was a percentage of patching that was owned. When we went to patch, the shell itself completely deteriorated, so you couldn't even weld to what was existing there. So, you know, again, in terms of it would be, everything that we do is 149 or 149A, so it was not included in the design, and I believe that was intentional. At the time, I don't know when this went out to bid, but yeah, it should be at a minimum that we would be replacing all liners, pool structures, when we go in to do the pools. I mean, the pool's the whole point.
I think we've all become pool experts the last couple of months. I now know exactly what it takes, including the lining, which is something I had no idea about. While we're talking about maintenance structures and just reviews and audits, and I appreciate the chair's question about are there any future problems or do we see anything happening, I have to ask. I think the only remaining pool in my district is the Charlestown High School pool, which is why I'm going to look to you all. Are there any issues that you see there? I just want to be ready for that. And to be honest, I don't know if I can take another pool heartache, so please give me a good answer here.
Hey, good morning. My name is Brian Ford. I'm the Executive Director at the Facilities Department for BPS. As of right now, the Charlestown's looking really good. There's a couple of tiles that need to be replaced. That's small work, so draining it down, regrouting the space, and having it operational once the grout cures.
Thank you.
And we'll keep you fully updated if there are any issues that do arise.
Thank you so much, Sam. That's it for my questions. Thank you, Chair.
Great, thank you so much, Councilor Coletta. We've also been joined by Councilor Michael Flaherty at large, and I'll go to him now for his questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and obviously thanks to the lead sponsor for her attention to detail here. I was listening to the first half in my office, so most of obviously my colleagues' questions have been answered. As a citywide council, obviously I know the importance and the significance of our pools across the city. Wanted to come here personally to thank each of you, Kerry, Jose, Marta, Brian, Sam, and Eddie, for the work that you do. I know how deeply you care about the youth in our city and the work that you do collectively, schools and community centers, and also in property management. So with that, I'm obviously looking to partner. Glad that we're getting our heads around the pools, the maintenance schedules, the repairs, the construction, the staffing. I think as alluded to earlier, salary and training obviously is a piece of that. Let us know how we can help, especially because we've got some dough, we've got the ARPA funds, and also as we're heading into the budget process, the more we know about sort of some of the capital issues and concerns, the more we obviously want to dig in and try to find a way to solve the problem. So, and you folks, particularly Kerry, you probably know it better than anyone. I'm sitting here. Should they be concrete? Should they be composite? Should they be vinyl? Should they be tile? Where can we get the longest amount of time and longevity out of concrete, the materials that we're using? I mean, and then what is all that? So leave that up to you and your team. But this is just an opportunity for me to come out, right before the holidays, just to say thank you all for time and attention that you put in on behalf of the city and its residents. And again, just look forward to partnering. We know what the issues are. We know that we had a number of pool closings. A lot of folks, when you think of Centers for Youth and Families, and even you think about our schools, you don't think that there's, it's close to 20. I think there's close to 20 pools, 2, 3, maybe 4 beaches. that,
Just one beach.
well, there's a big beach, but you got some stuff over in East. I thought you had a couple. You had one, I think there's one, you have one over in Eastie. You part of any of the stuff over there in the community center? So, but you think about that, you think about the sort of the magnitude that you deal with, and to be very frank, a lot of it over the years has been sort of a patch and play. You know, it's been, oh wow, look at this, or let's just patch it. And I think a lot of times it's not just with Centers for Youth and Family in our schools with respect to our facilities, but you come into buildings, we have an aging fleet, if you will. I mean, even this building alone, the minute you see something, it's like, if you can get away with duct tape, you're probably better off, because if you don't, then it's going to be a whole other project, and it's going to cost a lot more money. So again, getting to the point of that people were trying to do the best they can and to stretch the dollar, and during the cycle that we've had some good economic times, we've had some bad economic times, we've had resources some years, we haven't. We've seen an abundance, and we've seen cuts. So, and within that are the ebbs and flows of our facilities, our schools and our pools, et cetera. So again, looking to partner. So if there's things that you guys know or things that you need, and let's try to find a way as the legislative branch of city government through ARPA or through our budget process to put the best products we can out there within, so obviously, the confines that we can do so. And again, thank you for the work that you do. Appreciate it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Great, thanks so much, Councilor Flaherty. I'll just go back to Councilor Murphy for any follow-up questions.
Sure. I did just want to follow up on something President Flynn had said about his commitment, and I know I've said it, and we've talked a lot on this council this year about making sure that every resident has swimming lessons or access to safe swimming options. And I learned how to swim at the Murphy School, but it was on the weekends or at night, because I know also as a teacher there for many years, it was only the fourth graders and above, and then when we went K to 8, it was just the middle school and the kindergartners. And as a kindergarten teacher there, often wished that that was offered to the little ones to learn how to swim. I know that there's only so many classes the teachers can take on, so not trying to add more classes to our dedicated swim teachers. But when we look at the options during the school day, what children have for swim lessons, to making sure that we're also balancing that with options after school. Was talking with someone from the YMCA the other day and thinking about kind of like that Metro library card where, you know, you can go to more than one, and if it's in a case where a pool is closed or in a neighborhood or maybe all the time, I'm not sure, but kind of thinking outside that box where if you live in a community like Charlestown does have a Y, maybe we're using a sort of card where if you've paid for your, minimal membership at BCYF, that you could use the pool at the Y, or just trying to think outside the box so that our residents have, options. And also knowing from talking to Eddie a lot, when pools started closing, and I do believe that once the media and social media took wind and there was a lot of misinformation, so thank you for always, everyone here who would answer my call to make sure that I understood, but quickly understood where the full-time positions and being so understaffed that many of your full-time loyal employees, maybe a position opened at a pool, and you wanted to offer them that position if they were able to either take that management position or move from, say, the Mattapan pool to the Draper pool, because then they could work days, because if you're, as you know, or if you don't know, those listening, any of the BCYF pools attached to the school don't open until the afternoon. So if you're a full-time lifeguard at a BCYF pool, you work afternoon and evenings. You don't work in the morning. If you're a standalone pool like the Draper or others, you get to work during the day. So knowing that you want to be good to the staff that has stuck on, but then that sometimes meant, as you were trying to piece together, just making sure that pools were able to stay open, that we do also have to allow our staff that is working through this options. So I just want to make that known, and knowing that that just added to more of the stress you all had. So, I mean, the bottom line is we have to figure out how we can just hire more lifeguards, and knowing that we will. And I appreciate what Councilor Flaherty said, and I know all of the colleagues who have showed up to this hearing have said that we're here to partner and to make sure that we're part of the solution. So Thank you for that. And I will just ask one quick question on the way out. But I heard a lot when we talked about the Clarity pool, that the Marabella pool. Do we know at all what condition it was in? Because I was hearing that maybe it's in worse condition than the Clarity, but knowing that the assessment hasn't come back. Because that was just another part of kind of the rumor mill that we were hearing when they started to have these hearings.
The pool is operational still. There are issues with the suction.
Eddie, can you just speak into the mic?
The pool is operational still. It is not anywhere near the same condition as Clarity Pool, but we have identified an issue in the suction pipe that led to an electrical fire over the summer. And so that's been highlighted, not only for the chief and everybody, but the administration. They are aware of it, and we're assessing what the next steps are for those repairs. But the pool can be filled in operation. It's just a matter of long-term stability and getting ahead of any situation like the Clarity.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks so much. And just one further question from me on the staffing front. I know you guys mentioned being in conversations with your unions, like just without getting into the details of proposals on the table, like what are the broad, big picture, like potential solve-fors here besides just paying everybody more, which is obviously a piece of the puzzle across the board right now?
Yeah, so certainly wages, other incentives, again, as some of they've done at the state to retain, to entice people to sign on. And also Eddie made mention of part-time positions, and again, all still in conversations to try to create an opportunity for some of the part-timers and seasonal employees that work for us and have been loyal over years. So we find that there is a pool of them that would like to stay year-round, but again, they're college students or have other commitments. And so that would create an opportunity for us to hire some part-timers to cover, specifically, as Councilor Murphy mentioned, the school sites that don't open till the afternoon.
Got it. Yeah, no, and I think obviously if there were a way in negotiations to both reward our longtime loyal full-time staff and also open up that opportunity. I mean, you know, just hearing about all of these, the idea that there's, and I know, and Ms. McGuire, you made this point, I know that some of the ones that are currently awaiting staffing, it's also that, you know, you've only recently had them back, even theoretically online, so I know there's like a process to getting staffed up, but the idea that we've got, in the context of all of this capital need, 4 pools that we could have open, you know, as soon as we have the staff capacity, just really underscores, like, you know, we would love to solve that problem at least, given all of this. Can I just do a quick check? Sorry, the Flaherty pool in Roslindale, is that, I thought, Carrie, that you mentioned a Roslindale project, community center project that was ongoing, but I wasn't sure if that was for the pool or just the community center. Okay, so the Flaherty pool is open and is not in that list of anticipated immediate projects. Okay, and then I just wanted to quickly check these others. So the Leahy Holleran, open and
Leahy Holleran's operational. They've made some immediate repairs to some of the issues there, but we don't, at this point, don't foresee it being shut down.
okay, so it's not on the we might need to do a big thing soon category. And then Mildred Ave,
Mildred Ave is operational.
and
We don't see any.
Okay.
I mean, each pool has some unique things that need to be taken care of, but nothing that we foresee being like a major
right,
project.
but the Mason, the Mirabella, and the Curtis Hall are ones that are open, but we think there may be in some time as we work out all of these logistics, we might need to take them offline for a bit to fix something.
I don't believe Curtis Hall is 100% like that. I mean, there are certain things with ventilation that we've resolved. The one that I mentioned was the Mason pool, and that's specific to the liner. And taking a look at some of the immediate repairs related to resolving that situation.
And Chairwoman, we'll definitely be able to give you the list. I think, you know,
great.
the categories open with anticipated issues,
Great.
close the staffing, et cetera.
Okay, awesome. And then, I know, but I only have like 2 left to ask about, so.
You about to fill out the categories
So,
there?
so the Quincy?
The Quincy pool is operational. Again, we've immediate small-time repairs that occur there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know everything's always, as soon as you fix stuff, another thing breaks.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the
just
world
from
of capital
utilization.
management.
That was almost like a disclaimer I was going to make, because we have, I mean, they're very, complicated mechanisms, and so we have had instances where the motor goes out, or again, like the
Right.
Mirabella, something breaks or leaks. And this happens quite frequently, where we're having to shut down a facility for a day or two until we resolve it, or something isn't dehumidifying or somewhat. The other very delicate balance we're having here is that because we are at a minimum staffing for each of the pools, so we're talking 2 per site, if one person calls out, or they're trying to, use up their vacation time before the end of the year and they lose it, And so again, there's temporary times or
Right.
instances where it's unplanned, unforeseen, and we're not able to staff a site. So just wanted to make that disclaimer. And Eddie's team has been incredible working with the aquatics staff to navigate and make sure that they're staying open.
Got it, yes, and yes, I understand, things can happen to pools at any point, and obviously, like you say, until we get you guys more staffed, there's just not a lot of redundancy in your human capital. And, sorry, and just, because I realized I got confused, are there 19 pools total or 21 pools total? 18. 9? Good.
So 19 aquatic spaces. So it's a total of 18 pools and 19 with the beach. So if we include the beach, so aquatic spaces, there are 19.
Okay, and what about, and what's the deal with the curly? Is that counted in that number?
So that would be the beach.
That's counted as the
if
beach.
you
There's
count the
there's
beach,
never
there's-
been a pool at the curly.
No.
It's just a.
So if
okay.
there's, we're
I
talking
thought
just
not. Okay,
aquatic
I'm just checking.
spaces with water, whether indoor, outdoor, or a beach, apologies, there are 19. So that's with the,
I got it.
again, with the
Okay.
curly. There are 18 pools. Of those 18, 2 are outdoor seasonal pools. And there are 5 freestanding BCYF pool facilities.
Yep. Got it. And then and just to flag that it doesn't seem like the BCYF Marshall shows up on your guys' online list of all the aquatic facilities, even though,
What is?
I don't know why that would be, but just when you go to the BCYF like aquatic space, it has 18 things and the
It
Marshall's
doesn't have
not
the Marshall on there?
Yeah.
I'll double check with
Yeah,
Jay when we get
so-
back. It was down for some period of time and maybe there was.
Yeah, but
delays
what's
with
weird
that.
is the other ones that are down are listed, so
Okay.
so it's just, I think it's some back-end matrix of the website is not pulling it, but
Okay.
just a note.
Make sure that gets added, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it's, I think it has to be said again that all of, each of these places means so much to each of the like communities around them, that, it's almost overwhelming to talk about them all at once, just because they're so important to so many Bostonians. None of them are in District 8. But I'm gonna support the effort to repair them before I start pushing for one in my district. So just flagging, like many things, we don't have a lot of the BCYF type public facilities that we'd love to see in the district. Obviously, we love the BCYF Topin, but it doesn't come complete with a pool. We do have pickleball there, yes, and an excellent basketball court, although I feel like it could use some air conditioning in the summer. But anyways, that's another topic. Okay, I think that that's everything. Yeah, I'll follow up just to make sure that we're all on the same page about where you guys are on all of this. But really, seriously, appreciate all of your guys' work across all the teams, and know that it's hard work, and that. Again, I think the key thing is like, you can't magic out of thin air a capital project that is going to take 18 months or is going to take 24 months or whatever. Like, it's going to take the time it's going to take. But I just think we want to be able to be as clear and transparent with Bostonians, and also give people the confidence that, where we may not have had the same planning lens on some of this before, that we have it now. So look forward to follow up on all of that. Anything anybody wanted to break in and say? All right.
Just thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Councilor Murphy. And I'll just check, do we have any public testimony? Okay, seeing none, this hearing of the Boston City Council's Committee on City Services and Innovation Technology is adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.